Do you find it easy to become friends with others? How about learning a new language? And how well do you handle new technology? Well, that all depends on the dignity of your Mercury. In contrast to the Moon, Mercury is quite easy to understand and it is a lot easier to interpret his dignity in someone's birth chart. It all depends on two factors. First is the sign which Mercury is placed in, and the second is the house in which he resides. Let's start with the signs. The rule of thumb when it comes to Mercury is if it is in an air or an earth sign, it's great. If, however, he is in a fire or water sign, well, you can expect some trouble. Think about it this way. If we're talking about radio waves propagating through the air, it's great. If we're talking about hardware, which is interconnected and is not going anywhere, is not moving around, again, everything is great. But as soon as you introduce too much movement or too much electricity into a system, well, you get all kinds of trouble. You can fry your electronics and you can damage the wiring. So, in essence, too much is not a good thing at all. And that's exactly what happens when Mercury is in a fire sign. It is too much communications. Someone who speaks too much, for example, someone who is too quick to utter the words before he had the chance to think about it properly. In a water sign, on the other hand, the opposite is true. A person with a water sign Mercury will usually be too influenced by his emotions in his speech, be too expressive, too dramatic. He can also find it hard to grasp new ideas or to be meticulous in his tasks because water signs are more touchy-feely and less detail-oriented. They find it hard to concentrate on the minutiae. They like to look at the big picture, which is fine if we are talking about other planets, but not so much when it comes to the planet that is specifically designed to deal with the minutiae. In an Earth sign, Mercury behaves like a scientist. Everything is meticulous, detailed, on the clock. He is a stickler for the rules. He knows exactly where everything is placed and how everything is supposed to be ordered. So it's basically the best position he can have. And in fact, he is exalted in an Earth sign, his own home, Virgo. And as was mentioned before, both radio waves and sound waves propagate through the air. So the more air you have around you, the easier it is to propagate your ideas. Basically, think about it as shouting from the top of a mountain. It's easier to both notice and hear you. Now this brings us to the house positions. You see, Mercury does best in the first house, where he's able to convey what you are all about, or in the 10th house, where he is the public speaker, if you will, where he has the audience of the crowd. With the 10th house representing maximum visibility, he has the maximum opportunity to convey his ideas to others at this position. The opposite is true if Mercury is in the 4th house. Imagine trying to speak to a crowd from the comforts of your couch. Well, there's a problem in the sense that there are walls around you that block the sound. And I'm not talking about recording yourself right now. I'm talking about at that moment. Because once you record something and put it on the internet, for example, that's like placing it in the 11th house, the social network. Mercury also does poorly in the 7th house because then it's not your words that come out of your mouth, but someone else's. Basically, you become a mouthpiece for someone else's ideas. Medically speaking, the placement of Mercury in certain houses is less important than his placement in signs. The reason for that is that Mercury is quite adaptable. If he is placed in the 6th, the 8th, or even the 12th houses, he can still function properly. However, once you get to the dignity, whether he is exalted or debilitated, that makes a huge difference for Mercury. For example, if he is in a fire sign, one can expect, again, too much energy either in the nervous system or in the skin, which are both represented by Mercury. And then you see rashes. Then you see effects like epilepsy, especially if he's with a fiery planet. And obviously, in terms of communication, this is also far from the best position because then the communication becomes too aggressive. In water signs, it becomes the opposite problem because then the nervous system can be operating too slowly, especially if there's an aspect of Saturn, for example, because then the person is just scattered in his communication, but also his nervous system is too scattered in the signal. The signal has trouble getting to the point to which it needs to go. This can actually indicate paralysis in certain cases. But that can also occur in earth signs, depending on the degree of affliction and other factors in the birth chart. I hope you found this video useful. Please like and subscribe. And if you wish to learn more about medical astrology or astrology in general, please check out my website. You will find the link below. Thank you.